It's ironic, isn't it? How not getting what you want most is often the best thing that could possibly happen to you. In college English, I was a superstar. I made the dean's list. I earned the senior commendation for outstanding achievement in my junior year. And when I sat down to take the graduate record exam, I was relaxed and eager, confident that I was solidly on track to fulfill my dream to become a professor of English literature. I'd always been a slow reader, but until that morning, I had no idea how handicapped I was from a small but significant learning disability I didn't know I had. To make a short story shorter, I bombed. Graduate school would remain a dream and nothing more. As my classmates prepared to move ahead after graduation, I looked forward to the end of my college career with no plan and no prospects. So I did the only thing that seemed to make any kind of reasonable sense. I strapped on a backpack and set off hitchhiking across the United States. Needless to say, my parents were not as enthusiastic about this plan as I was. After several uncomfortable conversations, my mother said to me, please take a train, at least for the first part of your trip. I don't want to find out that you were murdered 2 miles from home. I never did understand why it would be better to be murdered 2,000 miles from home, but be that as it may. I took Amtrak from Palm Springs, California to Albuquerque, New Mexico. The passenger cars were packed with Japanese high school students on their way to the Grand Canyon, so I had to sleep in the dining car, which might have been comfortable for dining, but not for sleeping, and I didn't sleep much. And when I got off the train in Albuquerque the next afternoon, I was tired, I was cranky, and I was just looking forward to some pleasant company in a comfortable bed in the local youth hostel. So I followed the directions in my youth hostel guide, walked about 8 blocks until I arrived at the address where I found a donut shop. So I had to make my way clear across town until I came to the Campground of America. And there, surrounded by aluminum campers, RVs, and Winnebagos, I pitched my little pup tent. Darkness was already starting to fall, and after my sleepless night on the train, I heard a voice in my head say, get to bed early. Get a good night's rest. You'll wake up first thing in the morning and start your great adventure. It was a beautiful, clear night. The air was absolutely still. It took me longer than I expected to drop off to sleep, but then, what seemed like hours later, I woke with a start. The wind had kicked up to gale force. And because the air had been so calm when I'd gone to sleep, I'd neglected to stake out the corners of my tent, which was now threatening to buckle in the wind. To get out of my sleeping bag, get dressed, go out in the cold night air, stake out the tent, come back inside, get undressed, get back in my sleeping bag. I looked at my watch. It was 9:30 p.m. What proceeded to be a long, uncomfortable, unpleasant, sleepless night. When the sun came up the next morning, I was not filled with the spirit of adventure and the thrill of the open road. I was filled with terror. The world had gotten a lot bigger. The road had gotten a lot scarier. And that voice inside my head was now saying, what were you thinking? How did you ever come up with this wacky idea? You know what you need to do? You need to get right back on that train and go straight home. And I almost did. There were 2 things that stopped me. First, I had told everyone I knew what I was going to be doing. And when I imagined slinking home with my tail between my legs and confessing that I'd chickened out after one day, nothing that could happen to me on the road could possibly be worse than that humiliation. But more profoundly, as I grappled with my fear of the unknown, I heard a second voice. Softer, but just as persistent as the first. And that voice was saying to me, you are standing at a crossroads. And the choice you make right here and right now will determine the course of your life forever. And it did. I pulled myself together, packed up my gear, and hit the road. That decision set me on a trajectory I could never have imagined. That decision led me to discover my calling in life, to pursue my true passion, the life of teaching I'd envisioned, but in a field of study I never knew existed. That decision led me to meet my lovely wife, gave me my beautiful family, and gave me a career that has enabled me to share the timeless wisdom of the ages and the secrets for success and happiness with thousands of teenagers and adults. It's allowed me to spend my days and my years doing what I love and what I do well in a way that inspires others to make the most of their lives. Every day, perhaps many times a day, you will come to a crossroads. When you do, which voice will you listen to?